uh, treatment response, which it didn't really do. They didn't include that information, but they just listed it.
No, you have to do it. You have to go back to the patient chart and look at the PDL1 expression, and then look at the DNA profile.
Oh, okay. Is there a way to get their identifier?
So you have to know the patient medical record number.
Yeah.
And they should have it available for us. The data manager should have it. Just CC me and email some people how we can have access to the chart.
Mm-hmm.
There's gotta be a way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask for that. And then do I have to do the stats myself on that? Or like, do I
Well,
just,
it's just 24 patients. So there's no stats. There's like just a table, like who responded, who didn't respond, and the PDL1 levels were this and that. So it's really descriptive. It's not, yeah, it is descriptive. It's showing like the different colors, like the responders had more PDL1 or not, it's
Yeah.
it's really basic. Yeah.
okay, sounds good. And then, so there's like a lot of data. I kind of like picked and chose like out of like the 60 pages, like which ones to include. So the first one was like this big demographics table. So like average age was like 56.29,
Mhm.
half male, half female. The racial distribution, ethnic distribution. There was no BMI information. Oh, no, 25.51, ECOG score, histology. Most of them were adenoid cystic carcinoma. 5 of them were not ACC. So like other salivary gland cancers. And then for the stage grade, I don't know what 13 is. I needed to ask them about that because they forgot to type that in. But the rest of them, they have like different pathological staging. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They did it this way because they didn't know how to. So this one, I know they were recorded by the data manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I would so there's grade 3. So I guess in here the grade doesn't matter much. Okay, so let's get we don't have to do the grade. And maybe Liam, can you share our the salivary gland manuscript to Richard so that he could kind of use that as a like an example?
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a DART study, and this is our investigator-initiated trial. So these are very similar concept, but done by different group.
Mm-hmm.
This one's done by our institution. The DART study is done by a group called SWOG. So use that as an example to gather information for table 1. But I think just doing staging by stage 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Should be good enough. But I guess most of them are metastatic, but some are just locally advanced. So stage 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, this is also, if some are not, like one says right maxillary sinus and we don't know the stage, right? So you have to go back to the chart and figure out what the staging was for this patient.
Okay.
So yeah, we have to ask like, who's this patient? We need to check the chart. If the stage is, so like PN0, like, what is TNM? Like we have no clue. So that's what the data manager, who is usually non-medical, who's like the clinical trials office person, recorded just by looking at the chart. So this is called data cleaning. We have to go back to the chart and see what it is. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll get that with the other like PDL1 expression and
Yeah.
everything.
A PDL1 expression can be categorized into negative, which is less than 1%. Less than 1% doesn't mean like 0.1%. It's negative. Less than 1%. 1% to 49%. 50% or greater. So negative, low, and high is the three categories of PDL1 we're gonna record.
Okay.
And if they had Guardant, Tempus, or Foundation Medicine, then you can record TMB. They usually have TMB, tumor mutation burden.
Mhm.
So record that as well.
Okay.
And major mutations, like what are the functional mutations that they had?
Yeah. Okay. And major mutations.
Yeah. So because it's only 24 patients, you can really make, like 24 columns and then or row in whatever direction you want to do, 24 this way or this way. And then you can have TMB sort by TMB, PDL1, and mutations. Like you can kind of pick top 10 mutations that were found among 24 patients, and then just list them and say yes or no for those mutations. So you can make that as like a color dot box. I mean, you've seen those tables before. And you can put, like in the red color, bright, dark. Dark means higher expression, so you can kind of color code it too, so that people can visualize it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. And then continuing onward. So this is a list of the response times that they had. So progressive disease, actually no, 23 of the 24 patients had progressive disease, but one of them did not. They remained, I believe, stable throughout. And then looking at progression-free survival death in the middle column, and then progression-free survival at 6 months. Using the RECIST and IRECIST criteria. It's just like a table listing out everything.
Wait. Let's look at it. So progression, yes or no? So everyone has progressed except for one patient.
Yeah.
And PFS time is very short, but some are pretty long. So I guess 32 months is ongoing for the 0 patient, or
Yeah, I guess so, because they stopped recruiting in 2019, so maybe they were recruited at the very end.
So yeah, this is very encouraging. Some are pretty long PFS. OS time. Okay. So I want you, well, I think you can make. So yeah, I mean, this is just to kind of see the pattern, but these you can make separate progression-free survival graph. One for the regular RECIST and the other for the iRECIST. So that's the IPFS. Do you know how to make Kaplan-Meier curve?
Oh, they included like a ton of Kaplan-Meier curves, but I could look into it as well. But I could show you the curves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also ask the statistician to make one for you, if like, as you want, but yeah, you can show me what they generated.
Okay. So that should be next, I think. So this is the progression-free survival analysis that they did. So they had like many curves like that. They had one for like them combined. So there's only one line for ACC plus non-ACC. They have one for ACC only, and the one for non-ACC only.
Mhm.
There is no statistical difference between them.
Huh?
And they just kind of like listed out like at 6, 12, 24, 36 months, the estimated like progression-free survival in the table on the right.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. This is good. This has to be in the main figure. Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, they have many. And then this is a survival analysis. So looking at like survival instead of progression-free survival. And similarly, they have like other Kaplan-Meier curves for the combined cohort, ACC only and non-ACC only. I didn't put them in because it would like take up a bunch of like slides, but that's what the data looks like. And it wasn't significant either, although they do look kind of different. But
Mm.
there's only
So for the main figure, these two are needed because ACC and non-ACCs are so biologically different,
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to combine. So I would rather show these two groups, PFS and OS.
Okay.
And where's IPFS?
I don't think they did IPFS analysis for Kaplan-Meier curves.
So can you request
Okay.
and just CC me and the next question is, are they different? I know the definition's different, but you know, in our patients, were they different? Can you go back to the initial table? Were they different? Numbers?
Uh,
They seem to be similar.
yeah, there's like never like one patient who progressed with one definition and not the other. It was the same for both.
So it was always same.
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe start with this question for the statistician. Like, was there any patient that had um IPFS different from PFS or IPD different from, well, I guess we can see PD wasn't different from IPD. Uh, well, I guess, does this mean there was zero CR or PR?
There were some like temporarily, I think. That's not a table at the end.
Okay.
Best response.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, they're only stable. There's one partial response, and then the rest were stable.
one partial response.
Yeah.
What? Why is this just 14 patient out of 24?
I think the other ones didn't achieve stable disease.
Oh, not everyone else was PD.
Yeah, I think so. That's why they only have 14 here.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah. But I can ask them about the if there are differences between IPFS and PFS for um this graph here.
Yeah, because some graph might change.
Mhm.
But if everyone has same IPFS, that graph won't change, so you can write in the manuscript that they weren't different. Uh,
Yeah.
but if they, even if one patient is different, I do want a separate graph for it.
Okay.
Because that was part of our secondary aim.
Yeah. Okay. I will ask about that. And then continuing onward, survival, um, and then treatment response. Oh yeah, this is like the same thing. Um, so they did it based on RECIST criteria and IR RECIST criteria, looking at complete, partial response, stable disease, progressive disease, and then NA. I think they passed away too quickly to have like any kind of analysis like this. And then they have overall response rate, which is complete and partial response, and then clinical benefit rate, which is complete, partial response, and stable disease.
Mhm.
And so one patient had partial response by both criteria. Most of them had stable disease, and then a couple of them progressed.
Uh-huh. So IR resists. So they are different. Look, SD is 13 and 15.
Yeah, yeah.
So IPFS should be different. So that tells me they're different. IR resist including pseudo progression. Why did you put that there? Including pseudo progression.
Oh, that's what they had in the the title in the like data packet. So I wanted to make sure I got that.
So who is pseudo progression? They should say. See, one progression. So look at the progression number 9 versus 6, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be a great point. Find out who those 3 patients are. See if they are pseudo progression. Study the definition of pseudo progression. As you know, it's initially progression, but over time they come back to stable disease.
Mm.
And IR resist definition and resist definition is different. So you should be able to describe all these 3 different cases, which will be very unique to this paper.
Okay.
And this is why we like to use iResist. But in reality, it's not being used much in clinical trial world because it's time consuming and it's not as simple. But still, I think to be accurate for immunotherapy clinical trials, IR resist is better than resist.
Mm-hmm.
So be ready to discuss the difference between the two, why we had 3 patients that were different, and were they true pseudo progressors or not. So that's your next presentation homework, okay?
Okay.
This is okay, but what I'm thinking is because we've so you have overall non-ACC, ACC. I'm thinking it might make more sense to do ACC than non-ACC. And don't do the overall because we're not reporting PFSOS overall. We're just gonna say they're biologically different. We're never gonna combine them in table or graph.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. And because ACC has more number of patients, let's do ACC in the order and non-ACC, okay?
Yeah. And then no overall.
No overall,
Okay.
makes sense, yeah.
Mhm.
And then you can make one table with resist and I resist, like sort of like in one table. And one, no, first box resist, second box I resist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then continuing onward. So kind of like what I showed earlier, this is looking at the best response timeline. So they plotted duration of best response, which is like this equation thing on top, the progression-free survival time, and then subtract like the amount of time it took to get into that best response phase. And that's what the graph looks like, the Kaplan-Meier curve in the bottom left. No significant difference, but yeah, that's what they included.
Tumor control. PFS time minus best response. Best tumor control, duration of best response. Interesting. Let me ask Dr. Jian. In clinical paper, have you seen this used much? I can't hear you.
Especially which one?
This best response timeline. The definition, duration of best response.
I never seen before.
You never seen it before, right?
Never, no.
So we do duration of response. But duration is response is usually from the start of the treatment till the response stops. Duration of response, DOR.
Yeah, we could definitely calculate that from what they have, but they subtract the amount of time it like took to get to that response.
Yeah. So some best response happens really late. I've seen it like no, maybe 1 year. It continues to shrink to 30% in 1 year. And let's say they progressed 2 months later, then it's 2 months of duration based response.
Yeah.
I don't think that's clinically meaningful. I think what's more meaningful is the start of the treatment till response is lost. So it's really just the PFS for non-PDs. So among the patient with best response, that's SD and PR and CR, what is their PFS? That we define as duration of response.
Okay.
So I would like that, and confirm with other papers. I think that's what we usually do when we said duration of response, right, Dr. Chion?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Usually.
So I'm just, yeah, I think our statistics did it a very interesting way. I think it makes sense, but it's just not used often enough to make people understand what it is. So if you can request them to make a separate table and graph, just duration of response defined as treatment start till their PFS time.
Okay. I think they did have that earlier? Like, were you looking for like this table on the left, the PFS time column?
Only among the best response being SD, PR.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's duration
Um,
response. Yeah.
Yeah, SDPR. Yeah, because I don't know which patient has what.
And I like like listed here, IPFS and PFS are different. We've seen the best response number, PD, they were different. So you need a two different graph for this.
Okay. Okay. Um. Okay, sounds good. And then continuing onward. And then they had a lot of information on adverse events from nivolumab, ipilimumab, and then they had like a similar chart for like combining them, which I'm showing right now. This is the combined chart, and then like they group into grade 1, 2, grade 3 through 5, so like 2 different columns. So they have like many variations of this table that they include, but this is what it looks like. And I wanted to see if like you wanted to include it and like which iteration you prefer.
So grade 5 is all 0. So
Yeah.
you don't need it. You can take it out, say no one died. Grade 5 is death.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you just say no one died of an adverse event as an adverse event. Just say that and then don't include it in the column. So I guess you don't typically report like this. By page. Well, wait. Infusion reaction, constipation. So I think you need to categorize them. So again, look at the paper that Liam will send you, and you can categorize it into like a laboratory abnormality, and then under that category, AST, ALT, and then the calcium and all that, and then you could do respiratory, GI toxicity, categorize it as done in other papers. And
Okay.
yeah, and you can still report it this way, but yeah, this is all random.
Okay, I probably need the identifiers right then to make sure like it's not the same person with like hypokalemia. Like they have hypokalemia or like hyperkalemia and like other like electrolyte abnormalities. Like I can't just add the numbers, right?
No, you'll still report these all separately,
Mm-hmm.
but you need a group.
Yeah, yeah. And when I group them together, like, do I need to like check the patient like charts to make sure that like it's not the same patient with like vomiting and constipation?
Oh, it doesn't matter if the patient had 2, 3, they can all be in here. One patient can be in many different symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to, it's too much work. No need to do that. So
Okay.
just the subheading and then the symptoms or abnormalities. Yeah.
Oh, you want to like that? Just like group the symptoms together under like a heading.
Yeah. I don't want, I didn't mean to combine the numbers or anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
However, grade 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes you group them, but so here it says Nivo IPI only group.
Mhm.
Who are they?
This is for Nevo, like adverse reactions associated to Nevo or IPI.
Okay. Oh, you have separate table for Nivo only, IPI only.
Is a separate one for Nevo only, one for IPI only. Yeah,
But I guess wasn't the regimen all Nivo IPI?
I think so. I don't think it was talked about, but I think so.
I see. Okay, Nivo or IPI is okay because the regimen is Nivo plus IPI. I
Yeah.
think so. In real world, investigator has to say, "What do you think this adverse event is related to this drug?" And some investigator would say related to Nivo and not related to IPI.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's different for drugs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they had another table for
All attribution, what does that mean?
I think like any adverse events throughout the entire trial, not just Nevo or IPI related.
Oh, I see.
Should I include that or no?
No, this is good enough.
Okay, okay. Okay. And then just continue, like they had more.
Yeah.
And then these are serious adverse events with Nevo or IPI.
Serious anorexia, colitis. Not sure why they were classified as serious. You don't need them. I guess just make sure these are all in the prior table. These numbers are reflected. But this is redundant.
Yeah, I don't know why they're serious either. But, okay, yeah, sounds good. They also had like the all attributions, Nevo only, IPI only. But I keep it Nevo or IPI. And then that is it for the data that they sent over.
Okay. So I think the Liam's paper will show you what actual like manuscript will look like.
Mhm.
So it's very similar. It's the same trial. So you can rephrase a lot of them. It's gonna be same thing, but never copy paste anything.
Yeah,
You know the plagiarism, how detrimental that can be for all of our careers and you know all that. So I
Yeah.
rely on you to prevent that from happening.
Okay.
What else? So this is the salivary gland. So why don't you first write abstract for this? And the abstract, you can see it in the manuscript that Liam will send then to you.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of this week, send me the abstract draft. I'll try to revise it. But if I can't, then let's revise it together next that meeting. And I've submitted the DART trial abstract to AACR before, but I'll submit this to BMS. But the thing is, once you write the abstract, I need to send it to BMS because they need to approve it. They're the ones who funded this trial. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
and because this is a clinical trial, protocol writing and a lot of work has been done by a lot of investigators who put their patients on this trial.
Yeah.
So I think there are rules for clinical trials reports. So I'll make sure you're credited as one of the authors. But this is your name's gonna be somewhere in the middle for this.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a great experience to report.
Yeah.
clinical-
It's a lot of learning
Yeah.
involved. Yeah.
This is where so what happens if we report this? People are going to cite these and get drug reimbursement for their own patients, saying, some people actually live long with this. And there are some, that's good clinical benefit with this agent, but they need a reference. So
Yeah.
reference will come from this trial.
Mhm.
I actually have a patient who is still on this trial,
Oh, wow.
still coming from New York State, New York,
Uh-huh.
New York State. He flies every 2 weeks for the last 3 years,
See, very rich.
maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very rewarding because when I first became faculty, I wrote this trial.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
I wrote this trial. I got funds from BMS. And then because at that time, I was focusing more on the lung, I gave it to faculty who sees more head and neck lung cancer. So I gave it away. I'm like, you can have my trial. I got the funding for you. How many times do you see that? I've never seen it. So it was run in our institution, and that person left. So another person became PI, and that person left. Another person became PI
Wow.
until there's no faculty seeing head and neck. So I ended up seeing head and neck. I had to be the PI back of this trial. So that's why I'm still the PI of this trial. We enrolled 24 patients, which is a lot for like single institution trial still.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then I see these patients that are still on. So without the trial, you could argue that they might not be around. So I think that's the beauty of becoming a clinical investigator, where you write your own trial. It's not just like you picking a company's trial for patients,
Mhm.
but you come up with your own idea, with your own hypothesis, and really show the world that it is working in some patients. And this is where the role of biomarker comes in. What is the best biomarker to that's why PD-1, TMB, I don't know any of these patients has Tempus, because Tempus is great because if you go into the Tempus website and put their obsession number, they give you, through their RNA sequencing, they give you the percentage of T cells, macrophages, and all that stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I don't know how many of them actually got Tempus. So maybe that's a good thing to look. If you know they got Tempus, if we give Tempus their medical record number, they can give us all like the immune microenvironment report, their HLA type, T cell, B cell, macrophage percentage.
Yeah.
and if we can show that, people with more T cell had more response, that's great.
Mhm.
The other thing we can do is we can pull up their H&E staining and send to Lunit and see if they have more TILs. And whether that group is the group that had response or better PFS.
Okay.
So that's why I think try to get medical record number for everyone, and I'll try to see if I can see, these are not lung cancer patients, so we might need to, so Liam, maybe we need to addend the biomarker. So remember, we have the lung cancer retrospective protocol, and I think through that we are able to do the Lunit lung cancer TIL association. If we can add non-lung cancer in the protocol, I think we can use that to retrieve H&E slides from these patients. And that will be, I think, really good. Even in that 24 patients, like what are their TIL landscape? That's
Okay, so
work-
you,
that's
yeah,
work-
so,
yeah,
so you want to make it pan cancer then?
yes.
Okay.
I mean, this is salivary. I mean, we can say we are adding salivary gland cohort, but I feel like we're gonna keep doing it for other histologies and make it pan tumor.
Yeah,
Just say
so might as well.
lung cancer cohort and non-lung cancer cohort for comparison purpose, or something like add like 2 lines to enable that. So and then we can send that to our partner Alex, pathologist, and see if we can get the TIL slides for these. Let's work on that. Let's work
Yep.
on Yeah.
Okay,
And you've done revisioning. I
Yeah.
mean, done it. It's the same pathway, and revision usually is pretty quick.
Mhm.
And number of patients could be equal, lung cancer, non-lung cancer, just for the purpose of the protocol.
so we don't necessarily specify the number of patients.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, Richard, let's consider pulling the H&E slides for at least 24 patients. That will be a great translational project.
Okay.
So, and then whatever we find, we will so adjust the clinical trial results, everything you've shown,
Yeah.
in the format of the same DARTS trial results. You will write it as an AACR format abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever we find, and I guess it's gonna take longer time for association studies like TMB, HLA, PDL1. I mean, do what you can for the abstract. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
it's only 24 patients.
Mhm.
But if there's more analysis that we do and we find something more and we are able to do TIL and look into the Tempest and go into all the in-depth immune profiles and everything, those things I think we can report at ASCO. So
Okay.
for that, aim for ASCO. So this is the salivary gland. Yeah. Okay. Adrenal cord. Okay, and did I tell you about any additional core, or is this the one that I told you?
This is the only one, the salivary gland ACC cohort. The
Okay.
combined cohort, yeah.
Okay.
And Richard, I just sent you the salivary dart draft that we have.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, anything else, Richard?
That's all. I'm not sure about the cancer screening project. I think it's very close to submission, but not
So what is left? What's the pending?
Eugene just is working on submitting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let Eugene know. We're just waiting for her to submit it. And if she
Will
needs
do.
help, she can reach out.
Okay. And then yeah, that's it for me. I do have to leave kind of soon. I have class at 9, but
Oh yeah, you have class. All right, good job, Richard.
All
I'll
right.
see you.
Keep you updated. Yeah.
Okay,
Have a good one.
see you next week. Okay. Oh, I see Dr. Minjung. Minjung, do you have any update?
Hello. I have, so I have submitted, no, not submitted. I have sent the pre-submission inquiry to JAMA
Uh-huh.
and am waiting and will be sending the pre-submission inquiries for annals and JCO probably today or tomorrow.
Okay.
But before I do that, I wanted to show you the things that have been revised since the last time I showed it to you.
Okay.
So I'll send the link for the chat.
Okay. All right, I will share the screen.
I've highlighted in blue the things that have been changed, and as you like reach each one, I'll explain what has been changed about it.
Oh, okay. So here,
Pardon, sorry, I couldn't, my sound wasn't working. Oh, so the first thing is the title.
uh-huh.
The reviewer had suggested including the term observational studies
This is reviewer from,
from our first submission,
what was the journal?
JAMA.
Just General JAMA? Okay,
It was JAMA Oncology.
JAMA Oncology.
Mhm.
But they rejected, right?
Right. But then you had suggested
To
Kind of-
incorporate- Yeah,
incorporating their feedback and writing a sort of pre-submission / appeal email,
mm-hmm.
asking if they would if they would be willing to reconsider it. So that's what I sent.
Okay, but they haven't
Not yet.
got back to you, okay. In observational studies.
Mhm.
What was the initial, what did we
I
have?
had not listed anything. I had not
Oh.
specified. But the current trend is to describe which kinds of study designs were included.
Hmm,
So
okay,
they mentioned like clinical trials or individual patient data analysis and so on. So I added that phrase.
hmm,
And then the second section and the third section, I basically rewrote all of it.
this one?
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, this is good.
And then the next section is the abstract, which also was revised pretty heavily.
Hmm. Hmm. Time's ticking, so we need to publish it fast.
Right, right.
So, so here you have definition A and B.
Mhm. Did I miss?
But is that, so this is the first time you're
Right, right. That you're right.
so I think this is the abstract and then the main text.
Mhm.
So in the abstract, I don't think you don't have to say definition ABC here,
Okay, I'll remove that.
because this in itself is just one independent material.
Mhm.
You're not referring to this inside here or using this again in the conclusion, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, in the main text, you can do it again, like here, and then use that definition ABC afterwards.
I'll delete that. Then in the method section,
Uh-huh.
the reviewer had suggested subdividing it into even more sections. So that's what I did. And for
Mm.
the study eligibility, which is the first part of methods,
Mhm.
he or she suggested adding the PICO framework, which
Mhm.
basically, yeah, you probably already know what it is. So that has been added as a table in the supplement as well.
Mhm.
And towards the bottom of that paragraph, I mentioned how the peer review of electronic search strategies checklist in particular was used to have the search strategy peer reviewed by the librarian,
Mhm.
because it's a very specific checklist that is used and is considered valid. So I added that in as well.
Mhm.
And then for the data source, we had previously looked at the bibliography of previous systematic reviews, but we hadn't written it in the manuscript itself. And the reviewer had asked, did you do it or not? You should write that in. So we wrote it in. And also nowadays they want to know what kind of reference software was used to store the data and how the deduplication happened. So towards the bottom of that paragraph, I mentioned how everything was exported into EndNote, the version, and that the duplicates were removed electronically. And I cited the Brommer method that was used, and also included that after the electronic deduplication, that there was another set of manual deduplication. So nowadays, they really want you to be specific on everything that you did. So
Wow.
that's largely the changes that have taken place this time.
Okay.
Next section, risk of bias assessment. I think it's maybe in the couple, like 1 or 2 years, they now want you to assess the overall uncertainty or overall certainty of your evidence, most often using the grading of recommendations assessment. So that's something that has been added this time, and the entire table is in the supplement if you do want to take a look, but it's basically a table summarizing the results and with different sections of was there publication bias, was there risk of bias, and so on.
Okay.
Next, in the data synthesis section, I mentioned last time how I had to spend some time rechecking whether the statistical part was solid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did some studying and looking into the background behind the code that I used.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the revisions that I've added. One of them, the first one being how
Mm-hmm.
the maximum likelihood estimation that we used
Uh-huh.
in particular was based on the adaptive Gaussian Hermite quadrature, which is better for binomial distributions, which was specific to our data, and that the tumor type and the type of HPD definition were established as moderators a priori instead of post hoc. And then if you go to the statistical test section, this time we, instead of using the normal distribution, based our analysis on the student's t distribution, because the normal distribution is shown to be really anti-conservative. So I changed the distribution that we used, and also included the 95% prediction intervals, which the reviewer recommended.
Mm.
And moving on to the results. In the post-hoc sensitivity analyses, the first time we submitted the manuscript,
Mm-hmm.
we had only done, I think, one sensitivity analysis, but the reviewer wanted and suggested several other ones. So I've added his or her suggestions and did one more additional sensitivity analysis. And what we did was we took out the studies that were potential outliers, and we identified these outliers using the Baojo plot, which you can find in figure 2 in the supplement.
Mm.
And besides excluding outliers, we also excluded prospective observational cohorts, which were only 3 in the study, and also studies that were considered low quality or had NOS scores less than 7. And we did one more sensitivity analysis by excluding the conference abstracts. So if you go to the supplement link, it's on page, let's see, it's on page 53.
I'll get back to it after we finish this.
Okay. Oh, wait, huh? What? Oh. And then for the section right before the discussion,
Yeah.
the clinical and biological factors that were associated with hyperprogression, I just moved all of it to the supplement because we didn't have enough space.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't a quantitative analysis, it was a qualitative review, so I thought it could be moved to the supplement.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to the discussion, before, I think I spent
Mm-hmm.
an extensive amount of space explaining the current putative mechanisms of hyperprogressive disease.
Mm-hmm.
But for the lack of space, I ended up kind of shortening it. So that's the shortened version, the part that's highlighted in blue. So basically I combined how there have been observations of changes in the T cell and myeloid subsets, and I combined it into one paragraph.
Mm.
And then afterwards, the
So-
next section,
Explain the M2, this paper, and you say consistent with previous findings of dampened T cell mediated immune response due to engagement. So this was just another study.
Right. So the second one
Mhm.
was a previous study done in vivo in mice models.
Is this from a, I guess, Chinese author? This one?
Yes, Zing. It's
Yeah.
from the Zing. Mhm.
He's from, I don't know where, Wisconsin, I forgot.
So that was the model in vivo that
Uh-huh.
had first demonstrated how there's an enrichment in macrophages. And then the study in our meta-analysis basically was able to observe M2-like macrophages in patient tissues.
Hmm.
So I mentioned that first and then said, this supports what we've seen in a previous report in my xenograph. But if it's unclear, I'll try to reword it.
Yeah, maybe like consistent with the in vivo model that showed or something, just
Mhm. I'll change that.
And then these patients, however, were defined as hyperprogression according to a definition that was not based on a tumor dynamic based parameter, and therefore may not distinguish between patients with naturally aggressive disease. Can you explain this?
So the reason why people started using tumor growth kinetics was that they said, if you just look at size changes, then you're not going to be able to differentiate whether it's hyperprogressive disease or whether the tumor is naturally aggressive. That's why they started introducing the tumor growth kinetics parameters. But prior to those definitions, the definition of HPD that was commonly used was based on like a composite criteria. And the criteria for tumor size in particular was just a 50% growth from before. And a lot of the, let's see. And it was this definition that this study was based on, if that makes sense. So it was that the observation of M2-like macrophages in these patients was based on a definition of hyperprogressive disease that does not involve TGK or TGR. That was what I was trying to say, but sometimes, it's hard to be clear. I'll try to reword it.
But my point is, so I guess the reason you're using this is to say, well, this may explain the mechanistic rationale behind hyperprogression, and then you're sort of like self-criticizing that, well, they didn't use the right definition, so it's hard to say whether they're just aggressive tumor or hyperprogression. But
I see. One thing I didn't mention is that this study of observing macrophages in patients was not included in our meta-analysis.
Because of the number?
Because of the definition. Because the definition was not based on tumor growth dynamics.
How many patients were
In
that paper, lung cancer paper, that M2 paper?
152.
Oh, that's a lot.
Mhm. I guess the point that I wanted to make was not that this is probably not hyperprogressive disease, but that there is a limitation to interpreting it as specific to hyperprogressive disease. But if it just introduces confusion,
I mean, by listening to your explanation, it's not confusing anymore to me.
Mhm.
Uh, but it just, I know we're being neutral, but it
Mhm.
just weakens our sort of point made here.
Mhm.
So I don't know if we have to self-criticize our
Mm.
supporting sentences.
I see.
I know, I mean, it's just FY, by the way, their definition was different.
Mm.
But is it worth, like, with all these crowded, limited words,
Mm.
is this like essential component of this paper?
Mm.
I don't think so.
Mhm.
So I think it's better not mentioning it. It's not like we're hiding anything. It's just,
Mhm.
what can you do with a mouse model and, you know, we can say, using a mouse model or using, well, I guess,
I guess the reason I had initially added it was I was worried that somebody would say, hey, but that, mechanism is not based on the HPD definition that you used in the meta-analysis. But
right,
as you said, if you think that,
may not distinguish between. So if it was not based on tumor dynamics, what
Mhm.
was it based on?
So it's the criteria that they use has, I think, 5 components, and it's like, are there metastases present? What's the ECOG score? Blah, 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 blah. I think there's about 5, and if you meet 3, then it's considered hyperprogressive disease.
Hmm.
Let's see.
But do you agree with that?
I think it is really difficult to differentiate between just aggressive disease versus HPD. Because when I looked at the papers that used this definition,
Mhm.
more than relying on the tumor growth size changes, I think they relied on the other clinical factors
Okay.
like ECOG and the and so on. So
Okay, then I think your criticism is valid. And I think it's okay to leave it like that.
okay.
Yeah, let's just leave it as is.
And then one thing that both reviewers had commented on was, so yeah, we see that the incidence varies by the tumor type, but so what? What are the clinical implications?
Yeah.
And so I added a subsection called implications for practice,
Mhm.
and basically elaborated a little bit more on why the differences across definitions is something that we should pay more attention to.
Mm.
And the part with the graph that we created, I tried to make that a little more clear. So I revised that section.
Oh, area D.
But that part is not too different.
Implication for practice. So yeah, explaining why these definitions are different and, by graph, how do you show that? Okay. And then,
And then I just added kind of a more concluding paragraph.
I think it's good.
For the supplement, I just added 5 new items, but
Hmm. Okay. Oh, here. Figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4. This is the difference. For 1.
oh, that part should be deleted.
Oh, this is not relevant.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And then I'll go to the supplement and share. So appendix 3.1.3.7. Also, you move this methods.
So that's the grade. Oh, I forgot to highlight the sections, but that's the grade assessment
Okay.
that's been added. And table 7 on page, I think 53-ish, has the sensitivity analysis results. On, yeah, page 53.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yep, that's the sensitivity analysis results, and they're basically consistent with our main findings.
Hmm.
And figure 2 shows the Baozhou plot, which was used to identify outliers for the sensitivity analysis.
Hmm. This is it. Okay.
Yep.
Did you have to put reference here too?
Pardon?
Did you need to put like a
It's required.
for the method, or is it the whole manuscript?
That's just for the supplement.
Oh, because of the tables and all that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because it includes all the studies that were excluded.
Uh,
All of those citations also have to be included. So
wow, this is hardcore. This is so this was recommended by JAMA?
Mhm.
Wow, they're very, I guess, strict and rigorous.
I
And-
think
yeah.
the one reviewer who gave most of these comments
Uh,
is really experienced with meta-analyses and systematic reviews.
uh,
And I was really grateful because he gave all the titles of papers that I should look at. And I don't think people go out of their way I don't think that's very normal.
right,
So he basically gave me what to study.
right.
And I was like, oh, I missed that and that and that and that and that and so on. So I think
Wow.
that person alone gave 30 things to change. And
Wow, he must be like a statistics professor. You know, I think that's another level. I mean, this is beyond what I learned. So I took a class meta-analysis at Hopkins when I was doing MPH.
mm,
A lot of things you did are more like higher level. Yeah.
I think they're just in general becoming a lot more strict
Uh-huh.
with standards for meta-analyses and systematic reviews. because so many people are trying it, I think.
Yeah.
And so when I had the consultation with the research librarian, I asked her, do I really have to search 2 more databases? And she said, I think so. And she had commented on how, yeah, a lot of these changes are taking place and they're being really, really stingy and strict about following the guideline. So,
Wow.
so yeah,
Wow.
thanks to that anonymous peer reviewer, I learned a lot. And I think, yeah, because of these changes, I don't think there will be too many revisions to make
Yes,
in future submissions, even if it's rejected. So, yeah.
right.
um,
Methodology wise, I think we are close to perfection.
Maybe not perfect, but yeah, I learned a
Good,
lot.
good, good. Strong work. Strong work. I'm sure you spent many days learning, self-learning and applying. So yeah, this will all, make you grow and become more competent researcher. So applaud all your efforts. So let's hope that the next journal is going, we haven't decided where you were waiting for response.
So I'm going to send the pre-submission inquiries. Oh,
But what's
my,
the order
my
of preference?
screen is frozen.
Right.
Am I back? No.
No, but you can keep talking. It might come back soon.
Yeah. So you had suggested sending pre-submission inquiries to Annals of Oncology and Journal of Clinical Oncology. And if they were interested, you suggested submitting in the order of JAMA, Annals, and JCO.
Well, JAMA, we kind of appeal, right? JAMA,
Right.
JAMA, JCO, and Annals.
And you wanted it in the order of JAMA, Annals, and JCO.
Okay. So usually
So
they
I'll-
get back to you within a couple of days, right?
Their JAMA Oncology was really quick.
What did JAMA say to you? You're still waiting?
Oh, I haven't received a reply.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes when the associate or the representative who's in charge of correspondences is away,
Uh-huh.
it takes them a couple of days. So,
Okay.
but I'll be sending the pre-submission inquiries to the 2 other journals tonight.
Okay.
And Annals of Oncology requires you to submit it on their, electronic database
Uh-huh.
instead of sending an email. And since you provided the ID information, I'll be submitting it that way. And then for JCO, it's like JAMA, you just send an email and ask, would you be interested? So
Hmm. The other one is PLOS medicine. PLOS medicine.
okay.
Maybe you can send inquiry to PLOS medicine.
Mhm.
That's the next step. And JAMA network open
Mhm.
can be your kind of option B. Like if none of them are interested,
Mhm. Mhm.
JAMA network is like a new journal that takes
Mhm.
type of, so I don't know, look into it if they're, what they and then did we try Lancet?
Mhm. That was our second submission, but they said it was kind of out of their scope of interest. So they gave a very quick rejection. And I said, okay, next.
So this is not epidemiology. This is still like a treatment related phenomenon. So this is still in therapeutics. I mean, if JCO takes it, it's great. What do you think, Jian, Dr. Jian? Any suggestions on the journal?
still will need to reach to JAMA, Lancet. What about NJM?
NEJM, yeah. Do they publish these meta-analysis?
Yeah, I saw several.
Yeah.
I think.
NEJM.
Mhm.
Why don't you write in an inquiry to NEJM?
I'll do that.
That would be the first priority. If they interested in NEJM should be our top priority if they are interested. It's a
Even before JAMA Oncology.
right. Even before JAMA Oncology, if they're interested. Yeah. Yeah, let's see and just once you know where to submit, just text me and then you can submit. Good. I think we're almost there. I think the speed is key because more
Mhm.
papers are coming out and we'll be outdated soon. I don't want you to rerun analysis. Some reviewers will say, well, why don't you add this recent article? Then we have to do it as a review process. But
Mhm.
but if it's within 1 year, I think we could still publish.
I've
That's-
actually seen even 2 years, a lot of 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
I think it's really hard because it's a collaborative effort.
Uh-huh.
And so if people aren't willing to do it, it really slows the process.
Yeah.
And I think some journals do want like a time frame of within 6 months. But
Hmm.
at least for Lancet, I've seen 2, even 3 years.
Hmm.
So I think Lancet is more understanding.
Yes. So this is how you become expert. Like this is for all of you. When you do comprehensive review, meta-analysis of the field, then you feel like you know all the important papers, pivotal papers, who create this concept, like who are the key players. Champiat. So when I went to KSMO, Korean Society of Medical Oncology, I think before my talk was Champiat
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
France. Yeah, it was very interesting to see you present. Uh, so
There were
yeah,
actually quite a few authors from the meta-analyses at that conference.
yeah.
And yeah,
They had. Were you able to watch some presentations, Minjo?
no, I wasn't able to, but it was interesting that when I scrolled down the list, I was like, oh, I know that name and that name and that name.
Yes, this is how you build interest. That's like you go to meetings and the big names, you actually get to meet with them and go and ask them questions and then you invite them to your institution to, so that's what how you get to know people and be friends with them. Yeah. And pick their brain. Like, what do you think? Like I did that with Charlie Swanton. He's kind of like my role model, Charles Swanton. We had lunch together here at restaurant here, and it was a really good, like a surreal experience. So, but you have to. It's almost like meeting your favorite book author. Like you read their books, so you know them. Like you read their articles, so you kind of know their scientific background. So it's good. It's good. So you're on the right track, Minjo. Okay. Anything else, Minjo?
I was doing mostly revisions in the past week, so I'll do a little more reading on the mechanism throughout this coming week, and I'll update you on replies from the pre-submission inquiries.
Mm, Yeah. So not only the mechanism of hyperprogression, but sometimes the mechanism of pseudo progression
I
is important too.
can't hear. Oh wait, now I can hear you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. The mechanism of pseudo progression is something that's also very important. Why is it getting a lot bigger? Like, what are the cells that are coming in? Just a thought. And I don't know, in a week or two, see if Dr. Daniel Shin can join for our meeting.
Mhm.
And we can give him like time slot as late as maybe 10
Mhm.
a.m. here time, which is LA is 8 a.m. So he should be able to join.
Mhm.
And then just give Dr. Taegong Kwam an option to join in to meet Dr. Daniel Shin. He is the interferon gamma pathway expert, so he's not coming to SISI, but he might come to AACR or ASCO. Yeah. Okay. So because Minjung, we have a lot of Tempus RNA sequencing data.
Mhm.
Let's say based on these cell type, the immunity papers algorithm of defining into the inflammatory type, interferon gamma type. What we can do is among lung cancer patients that we have Tempus report, we can classify them and see if their PFS OS is any different. Also, Tempus, they have their own RNA sequencing data, and then I believe they have tens of thousands of non-small cell lung cancer data. We can propose to group them into a different immune microenvironment and see if their overall survival is any different. Because through text mining using artificial intelligence, they are sort of it's not super accurate, but they are recording PFS and OS of patients. So like whole US data we can explore because we have like research agreement with Tempus. So if we can define hyperprogression prone type by RNA sequencing, whatever that is, or you can come up with like M2 macrophage enriched group. Are they the particularly ones with worst prognosis? We can show that at national data level. Like Taegon Kim said, M2 theory is probably the one makes most sense. So I think we can look into, like a validation with larger data set approach. But I think, we spend more time studying it. Let's get input from Daniel Shin and sort of consolidate our idea. So, what is the genetic transcriptomic signature of hyperprogression? If we're able to identify it, we are saving lives from excluding those patients from going into immunotherapy only trial. They should go into immunotherapy chemo combo trial. And I told Dr. Jian yesterday, hyperprogression killed many people. Immunotherapy only studies have led to increased incidence of cardiac tamponade
Mm,
by having more malignant effusions,
mm,
pericardial infusions. And that phenomenon is not seen in any chemoimmuno trials. So that's very important.
mm.
So again, I hate to kill patients by giving a therapy that I believe it will work. But this is still ongoing. There are so many immunotherapy only trials that are given to patients and they died sooner.
Mm.
So our job is there any predictor that will tell us? And that's why we're doing radiomics. Dr. Jisang Yu is the lead right now looking at, is there any radiomics signature that will tell us that these people are going to be hyperprogressors?
Mm.
Then we're going to say, let's not do it then. So I believe this is a really interesting field that not many are. And then, like I told all of you, when I went to KSMO, when I went to advisory board of immunotherapy companies, they invited Susan Topalian, Drew Padol, all these immunotherapy groups. They're people who write science Nature papers. I asked both of them, do you believe in hyperprogression? Both said no, there's no such thing.
Mm.
So there's still controversy in the field.
Mm.
But if you ask clinicians, like who treat patients,
Mm.
then laboratory people are like, you have lab 6 days of, a week, you have 1 day of clinic that's very light. They're a laboratory physician scientist. Usually they don't believe in hyperprogression, but if you see enough patients treating different type of cancers, you believe. I asked my friend Kim Bum-seok, Lee Kyung-woon, and they all believe in hyperprogression. Like I asked Dr. Kim Tae-won, Asan Medical Center. It's like, of course, there's hyperprogression. So it's different, like than treating with different, like usual chemo. Like if you give immunotherapy, suddenly the tumor just explodes.
Mm.
And they die sooner because of it. I mean, I understand laboratory scientists don't get it, like because they don't find a good mechanism to explain it. Like, how could it happen? That's why I feel like this is on a field we're still developing. So
I think the reason why the JAMA oncology editor-in-chief was interested in the first place is that she also specializes in immunotherapy. And I thought, yeah, that might have been the reason why. And when I contacted the authors for adjusted data, some of them were really encouraging and saying that they do think this is an important topic to explore. And I think even if hyperprogression per se is non-existent, I think, as you said, clinically, if it's just aggressive nature of disease, I think it still underscores the fact that immunotherapy can bring exacerbations to the patient clinical status. So even, if it exists or not, I think it stresses the fact that immunotherapy requires more attention. So it was, and I really, but even like disregarding where this gets published and all, I learned a lot through this project. And one of the patients that I remembered as I did it was Joan Lee. Is that might not be her name, but
no, it is her name. It's a Korean patient.
Right. It was my first day of following you at clinic, and she had received immunotherapy.
Yes.
And that patient was only 1 year older than me.
Right.
So when I saw her, I immediately thought of my sister, who's 1 year older than me. And I thought, this could be my sister here. And when I received the comment from JAMA Oncology initially, I was kind of overwhelmed by all of the feedback that I received.
Mm,
But I think the reason why I could continue was, I remembered her and I thought, if I were her younger sister, then regardless of how much feedback and how much revisions I have to make, I would do it. And even though it's like painstaking and difficult, I think it's a privilege to be in a place to even ask that question and to try to find an answer.
mm,
So yeah, I'm really grateful that, had I not seen her, had I not been in Chicago like following you,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be as much of a motivation. Instead, I would have been like, oh, 2 more databases and like 34 comments to, listen to. But yeah, it's real people. And
Yes.
I remember, even if I don't remember their names, I do remember, seeing them in clinic and seeing how difficult it is for them. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So if you start as like a data scientist, like not having been in clinic, I understand it's going to be very different experience, but you know, it, I think her data could be one of the patients in our, Northwestern Hyperprogression Project.
Mm.
And that's why she was Mucinous. That's why I know Minjung, you've been involved in the Mucinous project as well. So still stay involved. What makes Mucinous so aggressive? And then we're now asking, what makes Mucinous so prone to do more like a stats, like spread through airway? And what is the underpinning of biology, DNA wise, RNA wise, immune cell wise? What's so different? I don't think people are asking that question. So that's why I'm like still trying to work with them, starting with Tempest and Lunit and everyone. This is why, this is how we call ourselves pioneers. We understand the grave, implications of these questions. Not many people do. We do know because of our precious patients that we lost. And we want to make their death meaningful and, learn so that those tragedies won't happen again. So it is I guess we were kind of indebted to their sacrifice. I mean, it's one way to put it that way, but thank you for reminding us. So I think it's sad to think. I mean, we probably gave her immunotherapy with a thought that she would get better, but in fact, her tumor progressed really fast. And in fact, she never responded to any treatment. And she died within, I think, less than a year, close to 6 months. So that was really fast, and it was very painful encounter with her mom crying all the time, and it was just really bad experience. But we did our best to support her. And yeah, she is our source of, inspiration and our source of persistence in doing these study. So thank you again for sharing that. And I think it just all emerges. All these projects that we do, we want to help these patients who are refractory to treatments, and identify them who will respond and identify them who will likely not respond, and kind of come up with the best regimens at each point. That brings to you've seen Albert Curie, like his new first visit. And he's one, if medical therapy is not gonna cut it, then we need to do surgery, right? So we're also doing a big 1-year anniversary. He just passed 1-year anniversary.
Mm.
So at Sissy, I'm going to do like interview with like the TV magazine and to also discuss Curie.
Mm.
So it's an ongoing success story. He's still doing very well. He's still very grateful. And I want to share a sad story. And I know maybe Isil, Chisang, and Liam, Dr. Chion might know. We lost one patient, just like Curie. And
Mm.
he was on ECMO, just waiting for lung. Didn't come in time. Being on ECMO, he developed thrombosis all throughout. Like his fingers and toes all became black.
Mm.
So end artery thrombosis, and he went into multi-organ failure. So we had to take him off the list, and then he doesn't have to be on ECMO. So we took him off ECMO. So he passed away several hours after. But he was Albert telling me Albert Curie is my hero. That is why I came to Northwestern. I want to be
Mm.
like Albert Curie. He's the hope. All used to ask me like, how did Albert Curie do in ICU, and do I have hope? And I used to encourage him a lot, but yeah. So I think the key is early screening. Before their oxygenation drop too fast, we need to put them on lung transplant list sooner, because we know they're not likely to respond to immunotherapy. The only thing we found is lenvatinib. Somehow it's working.
Mm.
It worked for my patient, Stefan. And it worked beautifully enough that he could finish the all workup for transplant.
Mm.
But Lenvima, the side effect is it's like Avastin, that if you are on Avastin, you can't do major surgery. The bleeding's not going to stop. So we have to take these patients off Lenvima. You know what happens? Flare. This is what we see with EGFR TKI. If I stop EGFR TKI, there's a flare phenomenon.
Mm.
So this is like the clonal pressure that EGFR had, and EGFR was suppressing everything but let's say 10% of the clone that developed resistant, and we see progression in the scan. So we changed drug, but then the 90% of the clone where there was a break, the break is off now. So they explode.
Mm.
That flare phenomenon happened in this patient. So he was getting hypoxic every day. Like we could see him deteriorate like daily basis. So he didn't require oxygen. He required 100% FiO2, still becoming hypoxic, went to ECMO. That happened within a week, which is super fast. So we gotta come up with a better strategy. And I think Liam's still working on getting it IRB approved, the protocol. Once it's open, our job is to advertise, go on out into the world. Hey, we have a clinical trial protocol. Bring all the patients here, and we'll transplant you sooner than later, and see how you do and learn from you. So this is, to me, this is almost like a mission. Yeah. But it all started with Albert Curie. If he didn't ask me to, I need you to change my lung, I'm not doing this. So I mean, if like you said, if the Joanne Lee didn't come to me, and it's not just Joanne Lee, I had many mucinous, I don't know, Jane Wong Lee. There were other patients that expired in a similar fashion. So I think the patients are kind of our source of our mission. So good. But I wanted to kind of give you the whole clinical picture background, why we're doing what we're doing. So to me, medical research is a medical mission. And this is, like I said, way to love our patient back. Okay, so Thank you again, Minjung.
Thank you.
Let's try to still like continue to explore this topic. Maybe inviting Daniel our next meeting or two. Okay.
Even if he's not available this coming week, is it okay to ask him like in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah. And then even if it's not coming, just continue to present what you read so that we can develop the thoughts together. Don't and then once he joins, we can kind of just ask him the key questions. But as you read more, continue to present what you read and the thought development.
Mhm. The
Uh,
interferon gamma is everywhere, so it's so hard to keep track of where it is, and cells respond differently to it. So even though I read a page, I forget everything that I've read. So I think it's gonna take me a really long time.
it's
I-
so yeah, it's so difficult. It is so difficult.
But yes, I'll
But
continue
the key
reading.
is, so the reason we're doing this is everyone has come up with a signature to predict responder or resistance. But the question is, well, we understand some people will respond to immunotherapy, some people won't. And sometimes T cell signature is important. Now with neuroendocrine at SWOG meeting, we presented that the B cell signature may be really important. We're learning that. We're studying that. Now, I think it's a different question is among progressors. Like if it's a natural history, it's okay. Like it's a natural history of cancer progression. The drug didn't work. But if we're making the tumor grow faster, like we don't want to do that. We don't want to even start trial for those patients. Then what are those signatures? Is it M2 based? Is it interferon paradoxical stimulation? What is it? And is that encoded in the gene or DNA? What are the predictors? So it's a little bit different question. So, read in with that angle. Okay. I think, and then signature might be very different histology among histology. Oh, I'll tell you this. I've never seen TMB really high, MSI high really high, and EGFR positive, EGFR exon 19 mutation. I've never seen it in my whole life. And I've seen it first time yesterday. So as a new patient. So I feel like anything can happen with tumor. And it's so rare, but I just feel like, and then you're left with this question: should I just treat this patient with nivo-ipi or EGFR TKI? I chose EGFR TKI, but we know EGFR is a predictor of hyperprogression. You remember the Zhang paper? It worked with the EGFR lung cancer. EGFR lung cancer, if you treat with immunotherapy, they hyperprogress a lot. Now, TMB high, MSI high, we learned that they should be treated with immunotherapy. Now I have a tumor that has both. What do I do? So it's a real life question. But we also know for EGFR tumors, usually their TMB is very low. PD-L1 is usually very, very low or negative. Never MSI high. But so we think they're more like, we call it oncogene addiction. If you have one oncogene that's predominant, you don't need other mutations. Oncogene addiction. If you have an oncogene addicted tumor, it's very easy to treat them, and sometimes they lead to cure. The best example is CML, chronic myelogenous leukemia. It's called magic bullet when the first imatinib came out. What I'm trying to say is having many mutation means it's a double-edged sword. The immunotherapy may work because you have more antigen, but you can have more resistant mutations. It just creates more room for resistance. So if you treat EGFR tumor with high TMB and low TMB, high TMB never do well because of that reason, that there may be a mutation that will act against durable response. So that's really good topic. How do you assess heterogeneity? And that was kind of your initial project, that when you first came, you and Haesung Kim. So anyway, the news is Dr. Haesung Kim is coming back to our lab
Mm.
to work as a postdoc for 1 year. So she'll be, I think, doing more of a heterogeneity assessment project. So it's data that you and Haesung both been working on. But I think understanding, the relationship between TMB and then heterogeneity, the clonality, and Dr. Iser has looked at the clonal heterogeneity in patients who had Guardant. So what's the best way to tackle this issue, and how do we make it a heterogeneity into a really good index, utilizing both blood and tissue? Now we have more data. So working with Guardant, Foundation, Tempus, and then we have tumor heterogeneity from the Lunit. We have radiomics heterogeneity. We can quantify that. So how do you sort of quantify heterogeneity at different angle, and use that as really nice clinical index for prediction? I think that is the future. But there's a lot of heavy lifting from bioinformatics side. So again, Minjung, this keep this in mind as you read heterogeneity. Dr. Jongwon Park wanted to tackle this while he was here,
Mm.
and he said it's too difficult. But this is a really good topic. But we will have intersection, heterogeneity, hyperprogression, immune landscape, TIL, and all that. So let's keep that in mind as we do these research projects together. Okay, enough of the overview, but I think it's always good to have the bird's eye view, because we're getting the data and then running the statistics, and sometimes we feel like this is all we're doing, making Excel spreadsheets, and but it's always good to have the big picture and why we're doing what we're doing. And good. Okay, thank you, Minjung. We'll go to maybe Iser. Do you have updates for us, Dr. Iser?
I actually don't have anything to present. I just came in to listen to other presentations and keep myself updated.
Good. But we can kind of touch base on the projects that we'll be doing.
Sure.
So I didn't hear back from Alex yet. I just sent another email to Alex.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for 47 slides from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm currently working on finding additional patients who are more recently got treated after August 2020. So once I find more slides, then we can make it up to 100 patients in total. I'll be sending out the patient list to Liam. And for the TMB, tissue and blood TMB concordance abstract that we'll be submitting to AACR. I'm sorting out the additional patient that we can add from the garden list that I downloaded this week. And then I'll be having Zoom meeting with Lena on Tuesday to collect the TMB data from, and we'll just have to manually search these patients in the Tempest portal and then see if they have TMB there. So I'll be having the Zoom meeting in Thursday evening.
Yeah, and then if you need more help, you know, Eileen or you know, because she's also involved in the variant classification project.
Mhm.
I mean, just in case you need more hands extracting data, you can have Eileen join too.
So who? Okay, so
Eileen,
Eileen Hong. I'll definitely reach out to her to see if she's interested in collecting this additional data. And then I'll talk about that
yeah,
in
If
silico
Eileen-
tool project.
Eileen is busy, I think. So Liam, who's coming on regular basis now?
So right now we have Tim, Eileen, and Cece.
Cecilia? Yeah. So, well, I guess it's not a huge project, so you might, I mean, it's better to get maybe one more helper.
Mhm.
So if Eileen's interested, you know, have Eileen work on it together. If not, you can ask Cecilia. If not, ask Tim. Just, you know, just keep asking till you get one helper.
Well done.
Okay. And we're still waiting for Lunit to give the STAS data.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once it comes out, just be ready to generate the AJP paper statistics together with Dr. Jisang Yu.
Yeah, so Jisang and I am, so we kind of figured like how to like run the RNA the statistics that our colleagues did like through the CyberSort Excel. But the issue is like we haven't done GSEA ourselves. We're trying to figure that out. I reached out to Horian. So we were gonna find time like last weekend, but it looked like Horian didn't have time last weekend. So hopefully we could have a meeting with him like this week so we can get ourselves ready for the statistical analysis once we get the data.
Good. Yeah, have it run it for you guys. I mean, because we don't have time, and then you can learn from that data.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, these codes and all that are already there. Dr. Johan Park passed over everything. So I think we might have to ask a couple more like practical questions like how to actually run it.
Okay. Good. Okay. I think yeah, we have pretty good plan. Are you submitting anything to Santa Monica?
So I think like for this AACR, like we could not submit couple abstracts like Lunit, the pathomics,
Yeah.
survival, and the tumor, the TLR.
Mhm.
So if once we get these data, we could submit it to TTLC in like Santa Monica. And then about that in silico tools using the GeneSat that works for immunotherapy, I think we have enough time to do that if we set the date for the Santa Monica deadline.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Like the plan. All right. Any questions?
So far, like not regarding the research itself, but I just got an email from a company who are interested in having a meeting with us in SITC. So I'm about to forward this email to you. to
What
see
is
if you're
the company
interested.
name?
Isoplexis.
Oh,
So they are researchers at Moffitt. And they have been working with researchers at Moffitt, Stanford, MD Anderson, who've been using their system, looking at single cell functional proteomics, obtaining insights into persistence of patient response to their novel therapies. So yeah, it looks like they're a proteomics company.
hmm. Okay, let's look into them together when you come to the lab. I'll need to learn more.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, great. Let's go to Dr. Jisang Yu. Do you have updates?
Oh yeah, I have one.
Wait, let's have a bathroom break for 5 minutes.
All right. Right. Let me share my screen. Oops. All right. I sorted all of the information from Dr. Eugene and Arnie, and let me see. So first we had 207 patients with CT imaging, and then I sorted out by the condition of, segmentation done by at least 3 persons. So the number is 63 that satisfy this. And then I also sorted patients with collected already pre-collected clinical data, and the number of patients only 40 left. If so the fellow under Dr. Yuri, I don't think they has done all segmentation, so I just sorted them by the only 2-person segmentation, and then the number is 121. And then with clinical data, then we have 71 patients with segmentations by 2-person, and then collected data.
Did we hear from Yuri about what happened with the fellows segmentations? Not yet, right?
Not yet, yeah.
Okay.
So that these 63 is included in the 121?
Correct.
Okay. So for AACR, we're going with 71.
I'm not sure. So I don't know what you really think about. So if you really think at least 3 persons segmentation will be needed, then it'll be 40. But if it's possible to use this data, then it'll be 71.
Yeah, I think he said we can do at least 2.
Mm.
So it should be okay.
All right. Okay. And as we talked about this yesterday, so I think we all have this blue box information, so we can get our PFS OS HPD right away. And then I think we need this scan data after 24 weeks of treatment. So
Mhm.
it's for, as you mentioned, durable response and disease control. So I think we need to collect this data as soon as possible, and then I will organize all the information and we'll send to Yuri. So I think I need your help, Dr. Jian.
Definitely, I can help you.
So yeah, I think, and we have all data in terms of ready mix, and then about STAS project, the last mail we've got from Dr. Oak was just 10/24. So I think I need to reach out again to get the patho result. And then also I'm still learning how to analyze the gene analysis, and I think, and I believe this data, the program for statistics, quite useful for me to make it. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, my AirPod is out of battery, I think. So, all right. So yeah, I'm still learning these, and I need to be prepared before the result come from Lunit. Right.
So has it been a week?
Yep.
It's been 1 week.
Since last mail.
Oh, so just write an email, CC me. Since it's been a week, we just wanna follow up to see where you are
Mhm.
with this TCGA data. Let's see where they are. It's a gentle reminder.
Of course. All right.
And again, this doesn't need AI. Their own pathologists can say yes or no. It might take time for AI to develop algorithm to find it and quantify it. So that might take time. They might. If they can quantify it, like I said, let's make a separate abstract for it. If they can't, we'll take it to ASCO. But at least yes or no, they can do it. Their pathologists can just look at it and say yes or no. So again, that's not AI, so we should be able to, I think it's still feasible. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I remind them again that part. All right. I think I'm done today.
Okay, so timeline, when will you finish? Well, I guess before we have, well, I guess by the end of this week, let's finish all the clinical durable responders, and like all the variables should be done by the end of this week. And Yuri's conference is next Tuesday? Is that, when is it? Okay. So hopefully give Yuri time to do it on Monday, on the clinical analysis. And give Yuri exact instructions. We want you to look at this clinical variable and then this clinical variable and this. Just don't throw it out. He's not clinical, he's PhD. So we have to tell them exactly what he need to look at. Yeah. Okay. So that's radiomics. Anything else, Jisang, you've been working on aside radiomics?
I don't think so. I don't have.
Right now it's data collection and data cleaning and all that. But once that phase is done, then you need to work on writing abstract. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Let's go to Dr. Chiang.
Okay.
Oh yeah, now I can see.
So this is the first project. We reviewed the case series, including our case. So we could be 18. And we got UNOS data, as you know, it was a 15. And I'm still waiting. International registry, I wrote email again, so that will send me within, I guess, within this week. So let's look at the table. So I want to consist of table 3. Table 1 is about the case series. Table 2 is about the UNOS. Table 3 is the international data. We will make them. And so this is the table. So this is the table 1. Sorry. With the.
I can't see table 1.
Oh, okay. Sorry. When I change it, it stops. Okay. Can you see now?
Yeah.
So this is the table 1 with the case series. It was totally 18. And because the mean age was 48, so I decided to divide it based on age of 50. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And male, female, there was unknown clinical data. And most of the patients had BAC, but there was one lipid, because it was published at 2020. So they used the very current pathology classification.
Oh, so lipidic freedom. Can this be bronchoalveolar? Is there overlap? Is it different?
I think it's the overlap.
Hmm.
So maybe I can put it in the BAC, but I'm not sure because they didn't describe as that BAC. They just described lipid predominant. And the other one is our data.
I think just put an asterisk for these classification and just say, using the, I don't know what's the addition. The addition is different. The addition, like, is it eighth? I don't know. The WHO classification, the older version, newer version, just put that in the footnote of the table.
Okay.
Yeah. And you should put like an asterisk.
Oh, okay, I will. Yeah.
Next to the histologies and
Okay.
based on this edition, all that. Yeah.
And for 16 cases, I could get the mutation containing whether it is or not. So it was
Okay.
good. Yeah.
And
And
for after the decimal, just one digit. So 6.11, 61.1. So let's make sure. Yeah.
like this.
Oh,
6.1.
What I'm
do you
saying
mean?
is the percentage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 5.
Okay. Okay.
27.8.
Uh-huh. All right.
Yeah,
Like that. We just want the
one digit. Yeah, one digit.
one digit. Okay, I got it. I heard you like 2 digits.
Oh, no.
Someone told me. Okay, I
Yeah,
will fix
it
it.
depends.
All right,
Yeah,
no problem. And the previous treatment could be overlapped in one patient, so I will put it in footnote. And fortunately, we could get the clinical data about using cardiopulmonary bypass. It was so important in our figure. I will show you later. And the recurrent rate was 50. And most of the organ was donor lung. And there was one case of a brain, one case of a lung means, what was that? Oh,
donor lung.
yeah, I remember. There was one patient who had a donor lung with a brain meta. So it could be 9, and we'll select it. And I will make one footnote that the one patient that had donor lung as well as brain meta. And I don't know how to make this one. This is for survivor. Do you want to put in mean with the standard deviation or just range?
Oh, so that's range, and then is that
Yeah.
mean? Oh,
I want to show them both actually.
so
How about
usually,
this? Mhm.
yeah. So usually, I would say mean,
Mhm.
comma, standard deviation, comma, and in the parentheses there's range.
Oh, got it.
Because you're not, yeah, you don't have, yeah, and then range in the back, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, the only range is in the parentheses,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
the mean and standard deviation can be,
Mhm.
yeah.
Is this better? Better.
Yeah, I think this is better.
Okay. Mhm. And this is over survivor. Do you want to?
Also,
But sometimes you use median.
Median.
Median. I mean, that's how we do, like the 50% in clinical trial results. That is more widely used. I think median overall survival. Then
Median than range or median than mean?
median than mean.
Median than mean. All right. Okay. Leon, you can say anything.
oh yeah, so above it said recurrence rate. I don't
Mhm.
think that's accurate.
over cases was 18.
Yeah, so I think either, shouldn't we either say like recurrence, yes or no, and then, because technically
Oh,
saying 9,
okay.
and we're showing the percentages in the
Uh-huh,
parentheses.
uh-huh. Do you agree, Dr. Chen?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
and you can take out rate.
Yeah. Death, yes or no?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? Isn't it weird? That
There are
is
better
that
words than yes.
usually.
Yes. Maybe we don't need yes, no. Death
Mhm,
can,
I
Or
agree.
do you want to say deceased?
Well, in statistician, usually we use this is the term, but in table, actually, it was not usual one. I think. Death or expired.
that is fine.
Yeah.
Go back because I think I'm fine with death 10.
Mhm,
There. So go back to the recurrence.
recurrence, okay.
Yeah, I think you don't need yes, no. So obvious. 9 is 50%. You take out yes, no, and just put the yeah. Yeah, I think recurrence 9
Oh, okay.
fine.
Mhm, mhm. It's a recurrence.
Yeah, it is recurrence 9. Feels a little redundant. So yeah, this is okay.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't make the range. Can I move on next
Mhm,
table? Okay, this is the supplementary table. I'm still working on this one, so let's pass it. And this is the UNOS data. There were 15 cases.
mhm.
We could get these clinical outcomes from the data. And I think the cause of data is quite in detail. So I want to make some category classification or just put them, leave them, you know. Because there is graft failure, but it was specified as chronic rejection.
Hmm,
This is non-specific.
non-specific. Huh. I guess we have to report whatever they recorded.
Just leave them. Just
Yeah. But at least I think well how do we assign case number? Is it like random 1, 2, 3, 4?
oh yeah, this is a random.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to count them.
Oh, okay. I feel like we can put them in the order.
Oh, got it. With the ABC orders. or longer frame.
Over survival, we can. Yeah, I think we can put them in the high,
Survivor.
yeah, overall
Okay.
survival.
I got it.
So it's from the highest to the lowest,
Mhm, okay.
so that people can kind of see the pattern. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Almost 60. And what about this cause of death?
So is this what everyone who died, or is there no death? no-
Yes, everybody thought,
Oh, okay.
and everybody didn't use the cardiopulmonary bypass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so just in the order of survival is
Okay,
good enough.
right. Okay. all right. And we are still writing the international registry. So I'm gonna go back to my. Oh, this is- Okay, so I want to show the figures right now. Sorry. So this is the figure the same previously worked. It was too short. So I asked him to expand the period and with the more references. I think it's now is too much actually. So I just told him that I will confirm from Dr. Che and I will give you the feedback.
So,
Well, this is an animal study,
yeah.
and this is animal study as well. And this is the rare first case to human being.
Hmm. So yeah, let's do just the human case. And let's take out the heart transplant. Is it-
Okay.
Yeah, kind of outside our.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, just lung transplant, single and then double.
Mhm.
And then the indication doesn't matter, just the first in human. I mean, there's by indication, there's
You want to delete the indication? Oh,
no, the very first, just because there's a pulmonary fibrosis, then you have alpha trypsin deficiency and COPD. So just
Mhm.
leave the very first one,
okay.
and the very first one for cancer comes next.
Oh, okay. Okay. The benign and the others will be deleted.
Yeah. So I guess the first cancer transplant is double.
Oh, no, it was a single.
Oh, where is it? Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, okay.
1963.
63.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have a double cancer, 1997.
Mhm.
And we have one with cardiopulmonary bypass is 2000. So that's important.
We need to emphasize those cases.
Pardon?
I mean, the highlight. Do we need to highlight this one? Not the red color, but the other way.
Yeah, I guess the ones that I mentioned are the ones that needs to stay. Everything else goes.
Okay.
In like the heart transplant goes, Animal transplant goes, benign transplant, except for the very first one, goes outside, out of this table. Figure.
Okay.
And then let's see, after cardiopulmonary bypass comes, what is ex vivo lung perfusion? I mean, I guess, is that important for our review? For
Oh, I don't think so.
yeah,
We
I
can
don't-
remove
for
it.
our review, no.
Yeah.
So I guess 2004 may be important for cancer. High recurrence rate. Long-term survival. So 2012,
Mhm.
bilateral transplant without cardiopulmonary bypass. I guess it's a sequential.
Oh, yes, sequential. It was a sequential. It was the first case in China that reported.
Yeah, well, China is not important. I guess. Before 2012, is it fair to say all double lung transplant happened with cardiopulmonary bypass? Huh. That's interesting. Do you think so?
Oh, yes, they use the cardiopulmonary bypass with the, um, I mean, can't remember that term. Ninth lung.
Yeah, I
mean,
just don't want this to be China's first case doing it, like in the whole world.
uh-huh.
For 12 years, when they do double lung transplant, everyone used
Yeah,
cardiopulmonary
they used it, but it was a sequential. Those were all sequential, but they used really.
bypass. Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess 2012, take out the China. If it's not the first time in China,
Mhm.
what I mean is bilateral without the ECMO. His first time in the world, right? Not just in China.
Without.
No, no, no.
using cardio-
No. In China, we should take out in
Take
China.
out.
No, what I'm saying is in that box, the phrase in China, just
Oh, I mean, okay,
China.
okay.
that goes out because that's first time in the whole world, right?
Mhm.
Just confirm that, okay? Because if you look at the registry, there's a lot of no ECMOs bilateral
Mhm.
transplant in your table. I wonder if any one of those were done between year 2000 and year 2012.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I will
So just
confirm that.
verify it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I will.
So I think 2004, 3, and 2020, all these things are not like historical things.
Yeah, I
Just-
agree.
It's just the small case reports.
Yeah, yes,
So I
and these are all in my table.
Yeah, so you don't need to put them in here. You
Okay,
want only like the major historical moment.
history. Okay.
Yeah. So that should come out 2003,
Mhm.
4, and 2020. Yeah, same thing with 1999.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. And the next. is analysis data. And this is with the case series first. I divided, yeah, age. There wasn't significant.
So,
between-
so what is red?
Red is more than 50.
More than 50?
Yeah,
Oh, they did
exceed
better?
50.
More than 50 better?
Yeah. Because I thought the younger patients has aggressive disease.
And these are all everyone who had lung cancer and got double transplant, right?
Yeah, yes.
Interesting, okay. But this is not statistically significant.
No.
Sex is not different.
Smoker, I removed it. There were 9 cases with the unknown, so it was never reliable. But
So
anyway,
one
it
is smoker, one is smoker. Okay.
smoker is 1,
Yeah, okay.
non-smoker is a 0. Smoker showed better
So
survival.
on the x-axis, was the recur period like survival in months?
Yes, month.
Okay.
And this is the mission containing
What is,
potential.
so mucin
Mucin.
containing is 1?
Yes, containing is 1. But I'm not gonna use this graph in my manuscript, so I just leave them like this. I didn't put the month, or I didn't translate in English. But this one I'm gonna use. Using cardiopulmonary bypass, even if there was 2 cases with unknown, but there was statistical significance.
So you,
1 is using,
uh-huh.
0 is not using.
So using it was better.
Yeah, that's all.
Interesting. Okay.
This is about the disease-free survivor.
Mhm.
And next is overall survivor. Let's pass the age, sex, smoker, emission containing, and this is using cardiopulmonary bypass. There wasn't statistical significance between 2 groups. So I thought it is related to the recurrence, but not survivor, because the death happens not just about the malignancy, but with the rejection or the pneumonia or the other cause.
Okay.
And next is the cancer-specific survivor. And let's pass this thing. Using CPD, didn't show the statistical significance between 2 groups. So when I put them together, this is about the using CPD. So the first one is the disease-free survivor, and this is over survivor, and this is cancer-specific survivor.
So cancer-specific survival using CPD is not different.
Not different.
So,
Because the recurrence is detected, then the physician do something other treatment for those patients. They don't
Yeah.
leave them. So
Mm.
sometimes retransplantation or lobectomy of the donor lung or chemo.
cancer-specific survival. So is this survival based on the cause of death?
Yes,
Okay. Disease-free survival. Maybe the better term is recurrence-free survival,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Mhm,
RF,
mhm,
yeah. Because after transplant, there's no measurable disease.
mhm, mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
so, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for actual manuscripts, you can show the cardiopulmonary bypass graph, but the other ones can go to supplement, or you don't have to. Maybe you don't have to report it, but
Can you say again? Sorry.
the other ones
Uh-huh.
can go to as a supplemental figure.
Okay.
Then bypass,
Mm.
I guess just the overall data, PFS and OS, just overall,
Mm-hmm.
all combined, you should have a figure, and then by CPS, cardiopulmonary bypass is the next graph,
Mm-hmm.
all in figure 1.
Okay.
But everything
So
else,
it could be classified as A, B, C.
A all combined, B
Uh.
is by CPS,
Mhm,
but you need both RFS, OS,
mhm,
cancer
mhm.
specific. So
Okay.
it's by 2 by 3
Uh-huh.
fixed
Got
graphs.
it. Okay. Mhm. So I'll make a 6 figures for figure 1. And I'm writing the manuscript right now. And this is the next project. It's about the ctDNA. So IRB will be reviewed at November 18th. And as I discussed with you, I will send it to Persistent, all of them. Because it was,
Yes.
yeah,
of them.
when we remember something, it couldn't be. Don't upset. I have another course. I'll show you later. And I asked to Nora, but I think she's kind of busy, so I'm still waiting for a reply. I can't push her actually because he has a lot of work. And so that is the next new cohort. The patients were 28 patients, and sample number was 190. It was so similar as before, but the plasma volume are much less than the previous cohort. So that's why I couldn't use this one for Persistent, but I think we can use for Delphi and Proteomics. It could be only 1.5 to 2 cc, I guess.
Hmm.
And these were the series. We have 2 cases of only diagnosis and after operation. Do we need to take out? Because these are all neoadjuvant settings. So I think these cases are useless. I mean, we can't see much.
Right. We're not testing any hypothesis with it.
Yeah, or remote. Then the patient's number could be 27.
27.
Oh, I show you the X5. These are the patients. Yeah, these are the series. So the sample was started at 2017. So I think there would be some events with recurrence or even death, maybe, because these are all HER2 positive, which is aggressive disease.
Hmm.
And when I come from this cohort, my fellow will collect the clinical data, and our lab will find the files and I will prepare. And for Delphi and the other proteomics, we need to divide this plasma for 2 or 3 files. So we need to melt it again and divide it. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
let's see.
Yeah.
So any comment for this new cohort? I called it cohort 2.
Yeah,
Previous one is cohort 1.
cohort 1, cohort 2.
That was cohort 2.
So
Yeah.
everyone got neoadjuvant.
Yes, yes.
2 patients didn't get it, so we took it out, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, they got it, but we don't have sample during, after.
Yeah, during. Yeah.
So the 2 patients we took it out, they all got neoadjuvant, but we don't have blood, I guess, during and after. So we don't have one before operation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's hard to know the effect of NAC, the last 2 patients, right?
Mhm.
Because it's okay to have no during, but it's at least after NAC, before surgery, that time point is needed to assess, right, the effectiveness of the neoadjuvant chemo. So
Mhm.
yeah,
That's
so
right.
3 patients didn't have after OP, but it's okay. I think the most important is diagnosis and after NAC. As long as you have that, it's okay. So Delphi is 250. Interven. Interven actually said they're not interested, Liam.
So they're not interested in like the biomarker study that we proposed initially with cohort B and C,
Uh-huh.
the lung cancer cohort. We never discussed this breast cancer cohort. So I'm not sure what they're going to say. It seemed like they're kind of steering away from observational studies, but I mean, this is a much smaller study and a much lower fee associated with it. So I'm not sure what they're going to say to this. So we do have a meeting coming up. So maybe we can just discuss it then. But if you
Yeah,
think,
so I think Dr. Jian made, small proposal. So Dr. Jian, why don't you make a proposal for all 3 companies? Just don't, mention company name or anything, make it general and
Okay.
describe this new cohort 2.
Mhm.
Forget about cohort 1, and then it's kind of the same hypothesis, and we want to
Yeah.
know how
Mhm.
proteomics it's same. They're all
Mhm.
different. Just say proteomics in general can predict response.
I
And-
don't need to for Delphi, but need to for
oh,
proteomics
right.
companies.
Delphi is ctDNA.
Mhm, mhm.
But for these 3 companies, they're all proteomics.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think we can propose at the same time. So this is how we're gonna work this out.
Oh, my.
For 3 companies, send out a brief proposal, rationale, and our cohort description, and number of samples and patients and
Okay.
all that, and then the amount of the sample that we can ship out,
Mhm.
and say we want to discuss this new proposal with you guys
Mhm.
and have teleconference to discuss it. Uh, and they said they can say we're not interested, and they can say let's have a teleconference. Let's just leave it at that.
Mm.
For all three companies, because
So
we do have enough sample, right? Or no?
What do you mean enough sample?
Like you have
1.5 to
1.5?
260. Yeah,
you have 1.5 and one goes to Delphi and
yes.
5 goes to
Still we have a 0.5 to a 160.
yeah, so we can do we can still work with three companies,
Yeah, all of them.
all of them.
Okay.
They might drop, bail out, they
Mhm,
might,
mhm.
but I think we can at least proceed.
Before that, do I need to check the real amount of the plasma?
I mean, as long as they're at least 1.5, I think
Mm-hmm.
do this.
Because their samples were extracted from the 6 cc of a whole blood sample,
Hmm,
so it could be half of a before, so it might be 260 at least.
I see. So yeah, in the meantime, I mean, we can propose as is first. But then you can kind of check what are the actual
Mhm.
samples at each time point for cohort 2.
So Dr. Che, I have two questions. One is, we actually have meetings coming up with all of these companies. We're meeting with Biodesics at 12 today, which I need to talk to you about later. And then we have another meeting coming up with Bertis and also Intervent in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so send them the proposal so that they can
Proposal.
read in advance.
Okay. And then the second question was, is there going to be any like research fees that we're going to charge them, or will this be, fee free?
There will be fee charged.
Okay. And is it just going to be the same PI fee of,
So remember there was a per sample, there's a PI fee.
yeah, it's about $100.
Yeah, so we'll apply that.
Okay.
But then the shipping and everything is still on them.
But then, but all of this is going to be run by IRB through Dr. Chian's hospital,
Right.
right? How do we charge them then?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because all the samples are going to be shipped directly from Korea to these labs, I assume.
Yeah. Let's think about it.
Okay.
Let's think about it. But
Okay. We can definitely circulate the proposal in the meantime and discuss it at the upcoming meetings.
yeah. That's a great question. It's gonna be same with the Predis in Brazil trial. I feel like we should be compensated for all our studies, but the samples are in different countries. It's not tied to their IRB protocol. So maybe let's have arrange a meeting with Hugh Anderson about how we can do
Okay.
multi institutional study.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we do multi-institutional trials and we pay different institutions different fees. So there's gotta be a way.
All right, I'll schedule that teleconference.
So Dr. Chian, I
Yes.
think the UNOS data, I think the disease-free survival by ECMO, I mean, it's a recurrence of cancer. So this is small, I mean, small number, but still showing that ECMO might play a role in reducing the cancer recurrence risk.
Mhm.
And that's what Dr. Ankit Bharat has been saying.
Mhm.
Doing that might be beneficial.
Yeah.
He was like, might be, but this is the first time that the data is showing. So I think for for lung cancer research, I think you can write a small abstract about the ECMO and the UNOS data, and just quickly write it up, send to UNOS for approval.
Mhm.
We'll send it to our surgeons for them to sort of give us input. But I think this is a very short, nice observation that you can report at the AACR.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's just quickly write that up. Yeah.
All right. I will work on.
Yeah.
So in abstract, we can use case series and UNOS data as well.
Which one before UNOS?
Case series.
Yes, case series and UNOS you can, but in the case series, well, tell me what the numbers were again for UNOS.
18.
In the case,
Mm-hmm.
and what about
And
UNOS?
UNOS had 15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
And
But we
UNOS,
can't merge them.
we can merge them.
Mm.
So we can report
Separately.
separately the RFS, OS, and then ECMO is UNOS data, ECMO
ECMO is a case data.
case data. But UNOS didn't record
They didn't use.
and
We have data, but they didn't use.
you asked them, right? You got did you ask?
No, the data shows no, they didn't use.
Oh, all of them, no.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, but we couldn't merge, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what
I
happens.
think not merge, but just we can calculate, because even in case series, the significance was shown. So if we put the UNOS data together, then the significance becomes stronger. But we don't need that work. We already saw the significance. Then we can just calculate them with the 33 cases, because it was 18 and 15. So when we together is 33, and then we can just calculate the recurrence rate. That is not the merging data. Just calculate. Because it's my understanding, merging means that they put together in the same Excel file and then run the analysis with all data. So we can just still calculate. That is not merging thing.
But what are you calculating?
Recurrence rate.
Yeah.
And death over survivor. Even if we can't see the statistical value.
I'm not sure, but isn't that like treading on thin ice though?
Sorry.
It still sounds very much like we're merging the
Merging.
data at least partially,
All
or at
right.
least part of the analysis. I mean,
Okay.
and that's
Uh-huh.
what I think. But Dr. Che, if you're okay with it,
Or
I think the best way is, so when we report RFSOS, we don't merge anything, we just report 2 cohorts.
mhm,
And then looking at the impact of ECMO use, we report that first in the case series,
mhm,
and then we say, we add a sentence, when we look at the impact of ECMO in both cohorts combined, or no, well, don't use word combined, in both
Yeah, no.
cohorts, then then you have to do the Kaplan-Meier again. I mean, you can't just do the median, like that's merging. So what I'm saying is, just for ECMO,
mhm.
you have to merge the data and then get the hazard ratio and
Seriously?
the p-value. That's the best way to
Uh-huh.
report. You can't just so what I'm saying is, if we are merging, we have to merge. If we're not merging, we're not merging anything. So what I'm saying is, we're taking the risk, saying,
Uh-huh.
and then we don't need that last sentence, but let's see merge and see what it is. And
Mhm.
then we send that abstract to UNOS. Do you want
Okay.
to, can you approve this?
Mhm.
And if they approve it, I mean, they approve merging, okay? If they
Yeah,
cannot
okay.
approve it, then we take out the last sentence, we're good.
Okay, okay.
So I think that's the best way. We're kind of transparent. Hey, we
Yeah,
felt the
yeah.
need to merge at least just this subgroup
Mhm.
analysis.
Mhm,
You're
mhm.
okay with it? We can, and if they're not okay with it, hey, this is merging, then we take out it and take out that and then still submit.
With the script separate. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So because we need time to go back and forth, just, yeah, it's a short abstract. So
Mhm.
I think AACR under lung cancer surgery, we can still report this. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Liam, follow up with IRB. Tell them as soon as IRB approves it, we wanna, present this at the trials in progress for the double lung transplant. So just push them so that, I mean, we need the IRB approval soon.
yeah, okay, I'll reach out to them. Because the deadline is like just a little over 2 weeks away.
Yeah. We just need them to have a IRB meeting. That's all it takes. And they, I've been the IRB member, and then you vote yes or no, and then it gets approved. And that IRB meeting happens once a month. So we just need them to put this in a more like a priority.
Meeting. Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll send them an email and see if they can expedite and potentially get it in for AACR.
Yeah. Okay.
It's better to do AACR than ASCO, right?
No, we'll be doing both. Trials in progress can be presented at every meeting.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It's advertising. That's nothing more,
All right. I'll reach out to IRB and see.
Yeah.
Mm.
But always AACR has a better chance of getting accepted.
True.
Okay. Anything else, Jian?
That's all I have today. Oh, do I have more? Oh, yeah. The new study. Yeah, we'll see. I'll review the TLS, tertiary
Yes,
lymph
TLS.
structure. I'm reading now, so I will make it next
Yes.
lab meeting.
Yes, that's a
Okay.
really important topic and
Yeah.
TLS. Yeah. So Dr. Chisang, did I tell you about TLS or not yet? No? Okay. But TLS is important in lung cancer and also in breast cancer. I mean, in all solid tumors. So. Okay. Just to sort of give you our background in our lab, Dr. William Bae Jong-han, he's the first one who sort of did research on B cells and T cells in our laboratory.
Mhm.
And that has shown that activated B cells, activated T cells are inverse in
Mhm.
its infiltration rate. Not just in lung cancer, but in all immunogenic tumors.
Mhm.
That is very interesting observation. So in SWOG, you heard that in neuroendocrine tumor, we thought there would be a lot of T cells,
Mhm.
but there were not many T cells. There were B cells, and the B cells were containing tumors were the ones that responded to Nivo-IP. So when Lunit does TIL is tumor infiltrating lymphocyte. We don't know they're T cells or B cells. So it's important to know the
Mhm.
association between T cells and B cells, but a lot of times they are both in the tertiary lymphoid structure. So understanding that information, it might be really histology independent or histology agnostic, meaning it's a phenomenon that happens across different histologies. So understanding that is really crucial. Now we're working with Lunit where we can explore many good questions. And they're willing to pay for the multiplex immunofluorescence studies. So I think we're in a really good position to ask these questions, both in lung and breast. We'll start.
Mhm.
Okay. Chian, anything else?
That's it. That's
Good.
all I have today.
Good. Liam, updates on your end.
Yeah, so nothing much on my end. Just one quick thing to show you. So this is the final email received from Lily regarding the trial proposal we said. Basically, it's a no.
Mhm.
Yeah, saying it'll be
Mhm.
difficult to gain support. Yeah, but they're saying if if you feel there's something we're missing or details that we can explain, we can submit the concept.
Wait. I'm a little confused here. This is a Lily that did trial. Rebel trial is ramucirumab. With or without ramucirumab and docetaxel. Did not allow for EGFR mutation. EGFR mutation was not formally assessed. There's no mention of EGFR overexpression or amplification. So the EGFR is a project that we've done with Janssen about amivantamab.
Mhm.
But I don't know why it really has anything to do. Did we submit wrong proposal?
So we were talking to them about like getting samples from,
Blood.
yeah, from the Revel.
So this is the question, and then okay, do we have their proposal?
No, so this wasn't like we didn't submit an official proposal. This was just kind of preliminary discussions whether or not to proceed with an official proposal. So we asked them for samples. We asked them, you know, we want both the Revel arm and the, I guess the control arm. They said they're going to check to see if they have some samples left. They did say they may have some samples, but then they were asking specifically what we were trying to do with it. And
And then I think I was confused. If you click that EGFR,
I'll go back to the first one I showed you.
the EGFR, the one that contains EGFR.
This one.
Yeah. No, the one before.
One second. This one.
Yeah. Impact of this research. So this, I stated based, thinking of Janssen proposal, not.
Oh, okay.
So this is where the, this is the amivantamab EGFR
Yeah.
story. I didn't know this was the Rebels the study. So that's why they turned it down. It has nothing to do with EGFR. So I think we can email back saying we send you the wrong rationale. This was another investigator-initiated trial Dr. Che was working on. The Rebel is based on the proteomics. I think we're trying to get the proteomics. No, I can't remember which company it was that I brought up this. Was it Biodesics? I think it might have been Biodesics.
I don't, yeah, we'll have to go back.
Because Bertis is too early. Interven, I think it's Biodesics, but we don't have to say the company name.
Right.
But the proteomics, the mass spectrometry based, and then this is unbiased. Proteomic signature can identify signatures that will predict the responders from non-responders, or or people who will benefit from adding ramucirumab versus not. So that's the hypothesis. And it is not, so it is encompassing the whole biology behind the anti-angiogenesis therapy. It is I would say, most comprehensive top-down unbiased approach. Yeah, so why don't you email back saying this is our rationale.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And then if they say, well, we want to know more about it, and then we can do teleconference, we can submit, we can sit down and write one-page proposal.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's it for this. The other stuff is just some housekeeping stuff. So we have, like I said, we have meetings coming up with Bertis, Biodesics, and Intervan. And Biodesics was supposed to be today at 12 noon, but there was miscommunication between us and them. So apparently it's not in person, it's going to be virtual for today.
Oh, for biodesics?
Yeah, at noon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Leslie just confirmed with them this morning, and apparently Jackie is traveling. So yeah, it has to be virtual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like a different rep from Biodesics was supposed to reach out to us to schedule the lunch, but the rep never got into it or never got on it. So Jackie is saying hopefully next meeting we have will be in person. Yeah, and also Biodesics is requesting a monthly meeting just to kind of share updates on the biomarker study. I didn't say anything to that, but it seems, reasonable. So I'm inclined to just saying yes, but we can discuss that at our meeting later, soon at noon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One
And then,
page sounds too much, maybe every 2 months or something.
okay, yeah, definitely we can. I'm sure they'll be okay with it. Yeah, and then that's it. I mean, most of the other stuff I think we discussed yesterday.
Okay.
And the DART papers, we're just getting word back on the thyroid. So I'll take a look at those again. And then the salivary gland, I'm still waiting to hear back from Patricia with the accruing authors. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, so salivary gland. Did we send that to Dr. Kurzrock? What are we waiting for salivary gland?
Salivary, I believe we sent to Dr. Kurzrock. We also sent to Patricia for the author list.
Also, we sent to both, yeah.
Mhm.
We sent to Stryker for any new classification he wants. He didn't get back to us, right? So, okay. And then you're gonna work on the small bowel.
And the ovarian.
And then ovarian abstract, right?
I think they're just, yeah, I think they just they just sent us the ovarian path reports.
Okay.
So we'll have to go over that. So with that, do you want like should I obtain the actual tables and figures in like the original format and just work on it myself, or should I just organize the data and send it back to like Megan?
You mean for the path reports?
Yeah, so
Path
you know,
report-
we had to like clean up.
Yeah, I mean, we're just verifying. We're just verifying. So
Mhm.
for the ones that are fine, just the exact same thing that I sit down with you.
Yeah.
So just
Mhm.
verify that whatever is recorded is correct. Very quick,
Okay.
not many.
And
But the
if we
ones
need to
that are
change anything
not accurate,
accurate.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I will sit down with you to go over them with you.
Uh-huh.
See if they're not accurate, we'll say, well, they shouldn't be in this cohort, or they should be moved to a different cohort. So that's
I
very
see.
important before we do finalize the data. So
Okay.
just for 3 cohorts, go over them, initial screen, and if for
Mhm.
you, they're all confirmed, we're good. But if
Sure.
there are things that, oh, this is really not ovarian cancer, this might be
Mhm.
metastatic, some other breast cancer or something, then
Mhm.
if this is unknown primary, why is it in here,
Mhm.
then I will confirm every slide, path reports that are concerning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we just wanted to double check everything because kind of like the data that Richard received, a lot of the descriptions and the pathology and the histologies were not consistent. So they were, they wrote,
Right,
a lot of
right,
different things on there. So some of it had like staging, some of it had histology, and
right. So
some
let's
of them
make sure
had like grades.
we are confident with the data. Let's
Mhm.
fix that today for sure, and then we'll circle back to Megan to tell her what to change, because abstract has deadline. So, and then I have to circulate to BMS. I have to circulate to all the authors in the DART team. So it
Mhm.
takes time. So we got to finish this today.
Okay,
Needs
right, and
confirming the path. Yeah.
yeah, okay, and you said the ovarian abstract is also going out to AACR, right?
Yes, all 3 of them.
Yes. Okay,
So AACR will be just a lot of
that's a lot of abstracts.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We've done, I think in one world long we had 11 abstracts. And then AACR, I think we had 15 something, yeah. So I mean, we can do it, but and then I've made a new rule. The first author of the paper will be in charge of the submission fee and the poster. Going forward, because it's too many projects, too many posters. So that's going to be our new rule. If the first author can't go to the meeting, then it's up to the first author to find a person in the other co-author list to go and present on their behalf. I will be the last fallback as a correspondent author. I can go and present on your behalf, obviously. Sometimes I can't go, but that will be our new role. I think you're investing into your project. So I feel like whether you get funds or not, submission fee is not much. Poster can be, depending on what company you use, can be a little bit of money, but I feel like if we submit more than 10, it's too much to support everything out of my pocket. So so I think that will be our new rule.
I got email from International Registry. The data was approved. A request was approved. So
Oh, then they're
yeah,
gonna give a stata data set?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
3-4 weeks. Okay, well, it's coming.
yeah. So in
Great.
AACR abstract, maybe I can't include this international data,
Yeah.
but we'll work on the previous one.
And they also said don't merge, right? They also, or,
They don't say don't merge, but they said that the manuscript should be reviewed by their own researchers.
okay,
And they restricted the specific journal.
okay,
I forgot the name. but
Okay.
Still, impact factor was more than 10.
okay. And do they have they have ECMO, right? Data, right? Use of ECMO.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I'll
if,
look it
yeah,
up.
make sure you
Okay.
request.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Anything else, Liam?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
We have the biodesics meeting in 10 minutes.
yes. Eileen. How are you?
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Do you have any quick update on what you've been doing?
I don't think I have like major updates in terms of progress, but I guess like last week we talked about like the variant classification project and the manuscript writing for that. So I did reach out to Dr. Easer today about that. So once she replies, hopefully we can set up a meeting, and then with Grace too, maybe possibly, just so we know like what she was planning for the project at least. But also like I do remember like what we like the resources we used last year for like writing the one with Emma. So I can show Dr. Easter that as well.
Mhm.
And then I'm still working on Dr. Chion's interview video for pacemakers. Yeah, and then that's about it for now. And then pacemakers manuscript.
Yes. How's that coming along? Pacemakers.
I'm writing the introduction with Sally. So I feel like my part, like I'm still like researching for like more sources, because I feel like I don't have enough, or like I want to use more substantial information. So I'm just picking away at that, slowly looking for more. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Dr. Liam can mentor you.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think there was a very different project, but both a very good learning opportunity for you. So
Hmm.
good. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Very good.
Thank
Alright.
you.
We'll end our lab meeting for this week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.